Kathleen Dinley lives in sunny California with her loving husband, four young children, one dog, and nine cats. As a member of the adoption and foster community, children in need are a cause dear to her heart, and she finds they make frequent appearances in her stories. When she isn't writing, researching, or caring for children, Kathleen spends her time reading, visiting historical sites, hiking, and crafting. Kathleen, good morning. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good. It's so good to talk with you this morning. I would just like to start off by asking what you write and how you got into writing.
Yeah, so I write Christian historical romance, primarily set in California during the 1800s. Um, as for how I got into writing, I've kind of just always been a writer. I remember when I was in elementary school, it was the funniest thing. I asked my parents, I said, when you're talking to people in your head, do you add on things like he said angrily or she shouted? And they were like, nope. And that's when I realized my brain works a little bit different than most people. And ironically, I use very few of those in my actual writing these days. But that was like my first clue that there was something different about how I see the world.
That's wonderful. I can completely relate to that as well. And it's kind of funny. I sort of narrate everything in my head. So I'm glad I'm not the only one. Well, today we're going to be talking about your new book, Shoot at the Sunset, and I want to have you tell me what inspired that story.
Okay, yeah. So Shoot at the Sunset started off as this idea of the main heroine fleeing San Francisco um, under the guise that she was accompanying her best friend to the eastern portion of San Diego County. And this occurs in 1873. But her true reason is that she had some dangerous people after her in San Francisco. And so she doesn't tell her friend or anyone that these people are after her really. Um, and so that leads to complications. So she flees in the previous book, but you'll see her flee again in this book. So you don't have to read the previous book to understand it. Um, there's just a little bit of time overlap. This book, though, you get to see what happens from her choosing to keep those events secret. And really, the overall theme of the book is all about secrets and the fears that drive us to keep them.
Wow, that sounds very intriguing. What are you working on next?
Um, my next book is book 6 in the series, and you'll get to see another secondary character become the main character. And in that book, I feature the historical shootout that occurred in Campo, California in 1875. It
Oh,
is the second most notorious, second bloodiest shootout in American history, second only to the OK Corral in Tombstone, Arizona. Um, and don't worry, I don't go into the gory details. That's not the point. But it was really fun to incorporate that real event from history. That's one of the things I do in each of my books. I incorporate real elements of history. So, for example, in Shoot at the Sunset, I have real elements of well, what we would now call a Ponzi scheme.
hmm.
Back then, that's not what they called it. But I took the real events of there was this notorious woman named Mrs. Clem who lived in, I believe it was 1869 in Indianapolis. And she actually, depending on which historian you listen to, was the first person to actually run what we now would call a Ponzi scheme. And so it
Wow.
was really fascinating to read her story. And then I combined her story with a couple of real historical figures from San Francisco, um, as well as some of the motivational and circumstantial points from Bernie Madoff's story, and kind of use those all to come up with what's going on in this book. In addition to that, there is the hero who is Preston Baker, and he is a sharpshooter who was part of Berdan's uh, very famous sharpshooter brigade from the Civil War. And he has some things from his past that he's keeping secret, and that's affecting everything in his life, including his relationships with his sisters. And you get to see how those two, the heroine, whose name is Lucy, and Preston, their two secrets kind of like mix together when their lives intertwine, and it's really fascinating to see how that overlap, just how it plays out and how it leads them to recognizing the truths that they need to learn about themselves and about God and about their relationships. And when is a secret good and when is it not good?
Oh, that sounds so exciting. Lots of different storylines happening within one story. I love that. And I love it when authors include, like you said, bits of real history, just
Hmm.
so many things that we don't read about in our textbooks, we might not know about otherwise. So I think that'll be fun to read and to learn a little bit more about that, especially with that gunfight.
Yeah, that's
Well,
the kind of history I focus on, is the kind that you don't learn in classrooms.
right, right. That's great. One of the reasons why I love reading historical fiction as well. Well, are you ready to jump into our lightning round? For
Sure.
authors, we have a lot of words, so it's never lightning fast. We'll go ahead and see what we can do.
Do my
All right.
best.
What is your favorite genre to read?
My favorite genre to read used to be the one that I write, but these days I have trouble turning off my editor, so I would say contemporary romance.
Oh, okay. I understand that. Who is your favorite author, or who are a few of your favorite authors?
That's always so hard to answer. It depends on the genre and my mood. And but some of my go-to auto-buy authors are Tara Johnson, Karen Woodmeyer, Mary Keneally, Rachel Fordham, Crystal Caudill, who am I forgetting? Kara Grandel. I know there's more. It's hard to think off the top of my head.
I understand. What's your favorite way to spend a quiet evening?
I would say listening to an audiobook while crafting.
Oh, that sounds good. Are you a plotter or a pantser?
I call myself a plantster because I'm a little bit of both. I need some structure, but I've discovered if I do too much outlining, I kind of kill the fun of it for me. So I
Mhm.
got to find that nice balance.
Absolutely. If you could spend a day as a character in a book, who would it be?
Just a day.
Yeah, just a day.
If it's just a day, then I would probably want to be the main character for my debut novel, Waltz in the Wilderness, because she got to see San Francisco um, back when the gold rush was still happening, and that just seems like such a fascinating part of history for me. So yeah, that would be probably if it was just a day. Other than that, I
Yeah.
don't want to live my characters' lives. It's too intense. I would
I,
put them through too much.
I don't think I would have survived, in the 1800s or early 1900s. I don't think I could, but day would be fun.
Yeah, I actually wrote a whole blog post on that topic, why I would not survive in the 1800s. I think there was like 7 points of
I
reasons I
love
would
it.
be dead.
Yeah, absolutely. What was your favorite toy as a child?
Ooh. Um, favorite toy. Probably that Simon game.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
the the light up buttons where you have to do it really fast and do it in the right order. I really like that
Uh-huh.
game.
Yeah, that was fun. What is one goal that you haven't reached yet?
Goal I haven't reached yet. Um, well, I have had an idea for a speculative fiction novel that I've been playing with for about 10 years now, and I haven't ever actually done anything with it. It's just kind of been in my head and made some notes here and there, written a couple of scenes. So someday I'd like to write that and see where God takes it.
Very cool. A little bit of outside your normal genre.
Very much outside.
Yeah. Okay. Do you prefer coffee or tea?
Neither, actually. I don't do hot drinks unless I'm sick, and then it's only the fake apple cider.
You sound like me. I'm the same way. Do you like to do anything else crafty or creative?
Yeah, I do pretty much every craft under the sun. I've done sewing, mixed media, knitting, uh, painting, drawing, clay stuff. I mean, you name it.
Wow,
I've painted murals. My children's bedrooms have had 360-degree murals. I mean,
my goodness.
I've tried pretty much everything. These days,
You're
I'm mostly into paper crafting.
a very creative person.
Yeah.
Do you prefer an e-reader or a physical book?
E-reader because it's more convenient, and the more convenient it is, the easier it is for me to read. The paperbacks, I have to remember to have it with me, and then I have to be able to have a light on. And as nice as they are to hold and to feel, it just, I don't get around to them as easily as I do other versions of books.
Yeah, I get that. What is the last book that you read?
Oh, right now I'm reading a clean contemporary romance. It's not a Christian one, but I forget what it's called. The last, oh, the I'm also reading. I'm in the middle of Tara Johnson's To Speak His Name, or his name, her name, his name, I think. Okay, now it's gonna drive me crazy. I'm gonna look this up real quick. It's a really fascinating story. The main character, the heroine, has I was right, To Speak His Name. The main character has mutism, and she's an Irish slave in one of those tropical islands. I want to say Barbados, maybe. But it's really fascinating. Tara is such an amazing author. She does such a great job of like really putting you in there, and you feel like what the character feels. And I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it.
Wow, that sounds really cool. Do you prefer cooking at home or eating out?
Oh, eating out, unless my husband's cooking. If we're talking about cooking at home and I'm cooking, forget it. I like cooking about as much as I like doing laundry. My husband, on the other hand, thinks it's a form of artistic expression, and he is really good at it. So if I have to
Wow.
choose between a restaurant meal and his meals, I'll take his meals because normally his is better. But if I'm cooking, I'm eating out.
Oh, I love it. What was the first concert you ever attended?
Benjamin Gate, actually. That's a Christian band that wasn't around for very long, but they were fantastic. And I have a signed copy of one of their CDs still.
That's cool.
They were great. My husband and I actually went together when we were courting. So that was my first concert.
That's neat. I don't think I've
Wait,
ever heard of them.
no, that's not true. That's my first concert that I went to on my own. My parents took me to a concert when I was 8 or 9 or 10. It was at a county fair. It was Three Dog Night. I almost forgot about that one though.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What would be your dream destination to sit and write?
Anywhere that the book is being set. So for this one, for Shoot at the Sunset, I was able to go back to the San Diego County Eastern Desert region and be in live in an Airbnb for a week while I worked on the edits. And that was the second time I had gone there, because I'd gone there before writing the previous book, because all three of the last three books in this series are set out in that area. So I did a lot of research while I was there, including lots of hiking in places like mud caves and wind caves. And there's this place called Smuggler's Rock, where the shootout people end up going, at least according to one version of the story. There's actually like 3 or 4 versions of how that actually played out. So yeah, so
That's,
anywhere that the book is set, it helps me with my writing.
that's very cool. That's a really good idea to kind of immerse yourself in that location, help
Hmm.
inspire the words that you're writing about it.
Very much so.
So, what is a book that you're excited to read? Maybe one that's coming out still, or just one that's in your list that you haven't had a chance to read yet.
I am terrible at remembering titles to books. Oh, what's coming out? I know Rachel Fordham has a book coming out soon. I don't remember what it's called, but I'm looking forward to reading it just because she wrote it.
So
um, that's all that's coming to mind off the top of my head.
we all have those certain authors that it doesn't matter what they
Yeah,
write, you know, we're going to read it.
pretty much. Yeah.
All right. So, where can our viewers and readers learn more about you?
Oh, that's easy. It's KathleenDenley.com. As long as you spell my last name correctly, you'll find me. Denly. I'm the only me on the internet.
All right, that's awesome. So, can you go ahead and hold up a copy of your book for us? So, Shoot at the Sunset has some gorgeous colors, and I just telling Kathleen that when we do this on the internet over Zoom, the colors are just never quite the same, but we did our best. So here is the earrings that I made to match the cover. And the top part is kind of translucent. So it really, the sun catches it. You can really see those pinks and blues and yellows. And then there is a matching pendant to go with it.
So
So
pretty.
our
I think you
readers
did a great
and
job.
our readers and viewers can enter our giveaway. There will be a post that we're going to make, both you and I, and it'll have the picture of your book cover and of the jewelry. And they'll just have to follow you on Facebook or Instagram and follow me on Facebook or Instagram, and then comment done on one of our posts. That's all they have to do. So we're going to run the giveaway until Wednesday night, and then we'll pick a random winner that evening. And you're going to be donating copy of your first book, Waltz of the Wilderness, the first in this series, so that if anyone has not yet jumped into the series that you're writing, they will have the first look at book number 1. There it is. Love that. Beautiful cover. It's actually sort of the same colors as this one, so that's perfect.
Yeah, it's somewhat similar.
Similar. Yeah. Great. Well, thank you, Kathleen. It has been so nice getting to know you and hearing about your books, and I'm looking forward to reading them.
Thank you so much. This was really fun.
Thanks. Have a good afternoon.